Alright then, hello everyone, welcome to episode 6 of my Blackburn Rovers Football Manager 17 save. So the last episode, where my face was missing because I forgot to turn the webcam on. If you like that, by the way, let me know and I can get rid of my face for future episodes. We beat Aston Villa 1-0, fantastic result away from home at Villa Park. But we've not really played more than one game from that point onwards because I think away at Newcastle, St James's Park, we're third in the Championship. They're top of the table. I think it would make a great spectacle, so I want to make sure that it's a live com and that you guys get to see it. Our match right after Aston Villa, and of course before this game, was a 2-2 draw against Brentford. Now, we were really fortunate, to be honest, to get away with a draw. It was a home game. We played all right, to be fair, but so did Brentford. And if it weren't for Danny Graham scoring 2 penalties, we probably would have lost that game. We played okay. We had opportunities, but we just couldn't find the back of the net. And I wasn't really too pleased with conceding 2 goals against Brentford. But I've got to try and look at the positives and, just appreciate the fact that it weren't a loss and we're still unbeaten, because a loss against Brentford wouldn't have been great going into this game against Newcastle. But let's not waste any more time and head to St James's Park.
Oh, aye, everybody, and welcome to the Northeast. And I know my Geordie accent's terrible. I'm really sorry that you had to endure that. But you know who aren't terrible? Newcastle. I kid you not. Like, I look at this Newcastle side and feel like if I got this Newcastle side, right, and copy-pasted them into the Premier League, I would probably get a Europa League spot with this side in comparison to the rest of the Championship teams. It's no surprise that these guys are top of this league. Unbelievable team that they've got. And to try and counteract the unbelievable team that they've got, I feel like most of their threat is going to be coming from Gouffran and Christian Atsu, who's just gone and scored. Oh, good save by Steele. So let's pause it for a second and go through some of the changes that I've made. So, as we did against Aston Villa, I've gone with defensive fullbacks, which means that these fullbacks won't really try and push forwards. Against a team like Newcastle, we don't want to risk pushing too many players forward. Team instruction-wise, we're currently on defensive. That mentality might change. I've got rid of trying to use the offside trap simply because of how fast Gouffran and Atsu are on loan from Chelsea. I don't really personally feel like my players trying to use the offside trap is going to help them much against opposition like this. I'd much rather they drop deeper. And I know it's on slightly higher, but obviously as you change mentality, slightly higher on defensive is a lot deeper than slightly higher on attacking, for example. What else have I done? I've also selected shoot on sight because I find that when players shoot more, goalkeepers are forced into pulling off saves more, and it increases the number of corners you potentially get. And I'd like to think from what we've seen so far, we kind of all realise that this is a team, or at least I've trained this team up to be pretty decent when it comes to corners and set pieces. So we've started with a defensive mentality. That'll change as the game goes on. What I want to try and do is kind of like turn the game to a bit of a pressure cooker, if that makes sense. I don't want to give Newcastle too many opportunities. I want them to feel constricted and hopefully go in at half-time 0-0. We'll still get our chances because we've got 2 up front, and with the way we're playing, we're going to be trying to hold on to the ball a lot and frustrate Newcastle opposition-wise. And this is the set piece I was talking about. So Mulgrew whips the ball in, gets met by the head of Shelby as Graham advances. Mulgrew tries to whip the ball in again. Yaya Sanogo gets it. Graham gets it as well. That may have been a decent penalty shout, Graham definitely went tumbling down there. As it looks like it's going to be Conway's turn to try and whip the ball in. Conway's corners normally end pretty well. Danny Graham heads the ball on, but John Joe Shelby clears. And, oh, God, no! Williams loses the ball. Go on, lad. two-footed challenge. But, okay, so that's a similar scenario to what we ran into when we were actually playing against Aston Villa, where despite being on a defensive mentality, we still end up sending too many players forward. So for that reason, I'm just going to make sure that at least two fullbacks are always staying back in this kind of scenario. So hopefully that'll just give us that extra bit of defensive stability and make sure that Newcastle, who do play on the counter-attack, particularly with Rafa Benitez as their manager, can't capitalise on that kind of thing. Really poor play from Yaya Sanogo. Should have easily won that ball in the air towards Steven Atsu. Steven Atsu? He's not called Steven Atsu. He's Christian Atsu, but Gouffran scores. For God's sake. I mean, good assist by Lazar, but how Gouffran managed to hit the back of the net from that kind of angle is unbelievable. Because we've done well so far this game, you know what I mean? Ball goes over. Williams... I can't blame Williams for not being able to get that in the air, but it's a bit of a wonder goal from Gouffran. Poor goalkeeping again. I don't know if it's a complete coincidence that ever since the recent patch that's supposedly meant to help goalkeepers, a lot of goals that I've conceded seem to be from bad goalkeeping, but... I'm not sure if that's even poor goalkeeping or just Gouffran scoring from an unbelievable angle. But we are now, unfortunately, 1-0 down, which means we will have to try and change this around. So I'm going to switch to a standard mentality. Don't want to commit too many people forwards. We are leaving the defensive fullbacks on. If we can go in 1-0 at half-time and I can now make changes, then I think 45 minutes is enough for us to try and nick a goal. So, Yaya Sanogo's been particularly quite disappointing so far this game. And knowing my luck, Newcastle will probably score now. As Shelvey, already on a yellow card, so I might maybe set an opposition instruction, try and tackle him hard, try and piss him off and try and force him to get sent off. Anita as well, right back, advances forward. And we need to win this ball back ASAP because Newcastle have a lot of players who can definitely pick out a pass. I said Sanogo's been playing poorly, but he might prove me wrong as he plays the ball into Danny Graham. Oh my God, shocking miss. Open net practically. We've had two clear-cut chances and Danny Graham's not scored. So, changing our fullbacks around. Not quite sure why Charlie Mulgrew's on a 6.2. I'm going to keep Yaya Sanogo on for now, even though I do feel like Marvin Emnes' ability could help us here. So, Marvin Emnes is going to midfield as our box-to-box. Now, I know he doesn't play as a central midfielder, but I'm going to keep it like that for now. And then eventually, going into the 60th minute, if he's still not scored, he's going to go up as a third striker. So we'll go with that for now. Simply because I don't want to change too much around. So you look at the match facts and the clear-cut chances. We've not played poorly, especially up against top of the league. I will take a draw away from St James's Park if we can get one. And I believe we can. No, actually we won't. Not if we keep passing the ball like that. Mitrovic finds Atsu on the counter-attack and another goal from a bizarre angle. And we only have ourselves to blame for that. Really poor pass from Craig Conway. Very unlike him. And now I've got to suss out what the hell I want to do. Right, we're 2-0 down. Not deservedly either. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a little bit more stuck in. We're going to switch to an attacking mentality and we're going 4-2-4. And we're going to hit the flanks instead and go with a sweeper keeper. It's kind of last-ditch stuff, but we need a goal fast. We've seen it again where we've advanced, we lost the ball, and Newcastle quick to try and counter-attack as Graham wins the ball, and Sanogo, go on, lad! That's another clear-cut chance that he's just... It's one of them games, guys. We got to leave it at that. I personally think, based off the highlights we've seen so far, am I frustrated? Yes. Was I expecting to get anything out of a game against Newcastle? No. But I think it's... I would have rather gotten completely annihilated by Newcastle than play well against them and be walking away from this game with a poor result, knowing that we played as well as we did, and that on another day those chances would have hit the back of the net. The 4-2-4 has definitely helped us keep in the game, and obviously we saw Sanogo carve a chance out as well. Hope Akpan's bloody dead with a calf strain apparently, and it's third against first. We're third. We've probably dropped down to fourth or something now, and Newcastle have won. We're a relegation team, or a team that in reality should be trying to stay up. A team that should be trying to stay up, and they're a team who really should be walking this league. The main thing I'm disappointed about is the fact that that loss has now created a gap between Derby County and us, because I'm not sure I want to gamble on playoffs come the end of the season. But we'll have to wait and see. I need to now try and fix this team talk. I'm not happy. Let's try and turn them reds into green. And that's just gone dreadful.